Hey everyone, it's Andrew from LC, and we are here to have a look at what I've been doing with my Panda Hobbies Bronco. Let's have a look at what I've done. Now, I'm going to break this down quite easily because in terms of bodywork, in terms of the shell, let's say, I've done virtually nothing. The only change I've made to the rig so far, to the shell, is I have started working on the mirrors. The wing mirrors, if I turn around a little bit for you, the wing mirrors are a little jaunty, as you can see. They kind of stick out at some weird angles because I think they've been mounted on the curve of the pillar, so the curve is forcing the mirrors out. So I've tried to address that on this one, which is I've really just angled it a little bit further. I've tried to push it back a little bit on the mount, and I've also taken a lot of the silver off. Let me just see if I can get you a little close-up of this. This is manual, this is black now. So I've just basically scraped it away with a scalpel just to get some of this hideous chrome off. And I'm trying to work on how to get them to face, to kind of push back a bit. They are nice and springy, so they don't snap when the truck rolls over, which is cool, so you want to replace them. For the rest of the rig, it's all happened underneath. So let me take the shell off. As you can see, quite a lot of still water dripping off it. Excellent. Yeah, quite a lot has changed. Then let's deal with the first things. To ground upwards, perhaps, is the more logical way to do this. Wheels and tyres. So they've changed. Let me be clear. I actually like the standard tyres. I think the standard tyres are really, really good. The wheels are weighted as well, which is really nice. But what I didn't like about the standard wheels was the rims. The shiny chrome rims, they're just that shiny plastic. Yeah, I just can't get on with it, and I'm gonna take it off the rest of the truck. So I can't buy. Unfortunately, it would appear anyway. You can't order the tyres on their own. If you order the tyres and wheels, they come glued. So no different to what I've got already. So I don't want to mess about taking ungluing them and all that caper. So what I've done instead was ordered from RC 4-wheel drive, who I believe are pretty much the only people who do 1-inch beadlock metal rims. So these are their standard, I suppose, steely design, and these are meant to be the chrome ones. But again, hopefully, as you can see, they're not really chrome. They're a metal, just a basic plain metal finish, which I really like. So I'm really pleased with them. What I've also done is put some acorn bolts on. Yeah, so that's what they are. And they work as little hubs. So I've got a little bit of scale detail, some scale hub type things sticking out of the wheel. I don't, instead of just a wheel nut, which is a bit grim, isn't it? So yeah, so that's the thing. Wrapped around those, some tyres. Now I have two sets of tyres. First of all, I bought these very, very attractive Wrangler tyres. These are RC 4-wheel drive again, licensed copies I believe, and they've got Wrangler and Goodyear written all over them. They are quite beautiful things. They've got lots of lovely sidewall detail. I absolutely think they look the nuts on the truck. However, as you can see, they've been run. I've run them. I had a little test session with Steve at RC Crawlers Mid Wales. Have you seen the Welsh video up online? Come on, focus. Let's go. There we go. And I had a little test run against his SCX24, and to be honest, these tyres didn't really perform. I've got to say, I was a bit disappointed with them. I think they're a bit too soft, and I think they were just. I mean, they are extremely soft tyres, and I think the tread just gave up. So I ordered instead, or as well, I should say. No, instead is in this hobby, as well, some of their. And again, you can go with the camera. Oh, look how super slick that was. Some of these. Yeah, so the Scrambler tyres are 60mm diameter. So they are physically a bigger tyre, as you can tell there, from the sort of 50-inch Wrangler. And indeed, the stock tyres were 50 inches as well. And these are what I've run today. And I've got to say, I do prefer the the performance of them. They performed as well as I could expect, so thumbs up to that. And if I could just sort of squash the shell on, you can see that they're not gigantically massive for the body. But I think because Panda do 60mm as well, they kind of have built it to cater for that. What I have done is raise the shock slightly. Okay, so next up on this then is the shock mounting system. So let me just show you again. Let me get a close up in here, see if you can cop a look at this, because it's pretty impressive for this size of truck. Each shock tower has got a 6-hole adjustment platform. So I've basically raised the body up a little bit. They're on the middle hole as standard, and I've raised the body up onto the bottom hole. So the shell sits out just a little bit higher, and I'm now getting plenty of clearance. So when it compresses up, it doesn't quite rub into the body shell. Okay. The front one's a little bit, because I think the arch is a little flatter. So the front one gives me a little bit of rub, but not a massive amount. So they're pretty cool. I like these tyres. They don't have the sidewall detail that the Wranglers do, so cosmetically they're not as big a hit, but certainly in terms of performance, they are really cool. And obviously you're getting a little bit more height off the ground for the pumpkins and things, which is very important as well. What else have I done? Well, let's address the elephant in the room, shall we? The thing that makes this look like a lunar rover is, of course, this white sheet of styrene. The point of this styrene is twofold. Obviously, to allow me to mount some bigger electrics, and also to help combat the twist. It is simply mounted. It's 2mm thick, so it's quite hefty bit of card, mounted across the shock towers. Sorry, the body post towers. And that means it doesn't flex anything like as badly. That's a better way to do it, isn't it? So there's so much less body flex than there was out of the box, just because it's pinned by the body posts now in this sheet. It's also allowed me to mount the battery, and I've been running a Zippy, it's still wet, a Zippy 1000 25C series 2S, velcroed underneath. I've had this at the front for the weight balance, and to do that, to allow for that room, I've moved the motor. I've swapped the motor around. The whole gearbox and motor can be reversed in this rig, so the motor is now pointing to the back of the truck instead of to the front. You just unbolt the whole thing and turn it around and reconnect everything. Works a treat. So it's the motor doesn't weigh as much as the battery, so I figured that on the stock one the battery, of course, is at the back here. So that's now, the battery's now up towards the front of the rig. On top, I've then mounted a new receiver and a new ESC. So I've got my Absima radio receiver there. I may move these around afterwards, but for now they're here more as a test. This is for the motor, more of a test than anything else. So this is the Castle Sidewinder 3. I've had this for a while now. Had to find a use for it really, and in this rig it has helped enormously with the jerky throttle. I did initially try to swap the motor out, but that doesn't really work very well because the motor is, and maybe you can see in there, I'll just give you a little indication as to why you can't just swap the motors out on these things. See that silver block here? This is a spacer. This is a big, and you can see the size of my finger next to it. It's a significant, it's a fingernail depth spacer between the motor and the gearbox. So the pinion, the shaft coming out of the motor, has to be that much longer than a standard one. So you can't put a standard motor, you can't just take a standard motor and expect it to work in this rig, okay? It just won't. It needs to have a special long arm coming out of it. So I gave up on the motor idea and looked at the electrics, and this combination of Sidewinder 3 and decent radio gear has smoothed this truck out beyond recognition. The problem with the standard version, as seems to be fairly common with all of them, is their take-up speed is really quick, so they just leap forwards off the throttle. You see, so even this, it still does a little bit of a leap. So there's a little bit of a, it doesn't like starting too well, but it's now, I mean, it's not great, you know, I'll be honest, it's still a work in progress, but compared to how it was, it's a lot better. They just seem to have to load up with energy and then they release it and get going. Once it's moving, I haven't got room to show you here, but once it's moving, it's actually quite controllable and you can change speed quite subtly. Without the resistance of moving it, you can see I can actually get it to go. You know. So there's quite a lot of control to be had, but once you've stopped, overcoming that resistance once it's stopped is on the move. You can alter things quite easily, but stop and it's quite difficult to get it going again smoothly. So that's still a work in progress. But that's what all that is. That's what all this gubbins, and obviously it's all big wires and big cables, and you know it makes a hell of a mess. So, but on the shell, you don't. The shell's got its own wires to deal with, but you don't see all that. It's all back here. The last mod I've made to the rig, last two mods I've made, are at the front. So I've also got a WPL metal geared servo in there. Fits straight in, which is really nice. I had this spare, I've conformal coated it so it's got a little bit more waterproofing to it. You can buy this from Banggood and anybody else. It's a metal geared, metal bodied servo. And micro servo probably is what it's called. Can't remember. I bought it ages ago for a gearbox changer. But it's you know, no point in that. The other mod I've made, it comes with a metal, where are you? There you are. It comes with a metal servo horn as well, so that's on there. And you can maybe just tell the last mod, which are the ones I showed you in the last video. These are the Panda Hobby brass knuckles. They're fitted as well. They go on no problem at all. And well, I know they make a difference. There's not a huge amount of brass there, so it's not going to make a huge difference. So that's the rig. So what have I got planned for it still? I have got a bunch of upgrades from Panda coming. Bought them. I'm not sponsored. Don't think I'm sponsored by this. I'll be honest, pretty much all of them. They're coming from China, so I'm not going to buy two at a time. Some of it will stiffen up the chassis a bit more. Some of it's probably just a little bit cosmetic, but they're all kind of chassis components. I'm also then going to turn to the body shell, and the body shell is going to have continual work on the mirrors. Of course, that's a continuous bugbear for me. I can't take them off because there's big holes there, so I have to work with what I've got. The lighting, because I've ditched the standard electrics, the lighting doesn't work as it was before with the switching and the reverse lights and all that. So the reverse lights are taped up because they're no functional now. I've lost a headlight to come out. They're just hot glued in, and a tail light to come out. But for now, I'm probably going to unplug the roof bar because it just doesn't look right when it's turned on with the three big LEDs in it. But I like the look of, I like having it up there. So I'll probably just take the wiring from that off, and then I've just got the headlights and the tail lights, and they're on all the time. So, you know, that's cool. That's not a big deal. Now the grille, I'm going to make some changes to the grille, and I'm going to take this out, this cross, which is not accurate for a Bronco, and I'm going to replace it just with some wire mesh. That's not terribly accurate either, but I think that's more of a permissible modification, you know, just have a mesh grille. And I'm going to try and do an interior. So the interior will sit obviously on the Lunar Rover here. The WPL truck interiors kind of fit. So obviously I'll cut a lot of it off and just leave the top portion sitting on this card, because really that's all you're going to see through here. Anyhow, there you go. The run video should be up very shortly. Thank you for watching this, and stay tuned. And any questions, let me know. This is the Panda Tetra X2 from pandahobbies.com. Direct would be the best advice I can give you. I still think it's the best moving micro crawler out there, but not without its problems. Alright, thank you for watching, stay tuned, like and subscribe, stay safe, etc. This is Andrew. It's been fun, but it's got to stop now. Thank you so much, bye.